Iran has a friend in Joe Biden. By 2020, the Islamic Republic of Iran's ambitions for regional hegemony were firmly in check. The 45th President's Abraham Accords were bringing the blood enemies of Israel to the peace table for diplomatic recognition and trade agreements.
There are many skeptics about this agreement, but it is a significant diplomatic moment. So no wonder this White House, adept at putting on a show on the South Lawn, was celebrating the occasion as a triumph for President Trump.
So it's 3 years ago.
But what this is not is peace in the Middle East. The Palestinian cause has been ignored, its historic grievances dismissed.
Wow, that reporter from ITV was really angry with Trump and Israel.
Emirates and Bahrain. Still, for beleaguered leaders, this was a moment of some genuine hope, mixed with considerable hyperbole.
We're here this afternoon to change the course of history. After decades of division and conflict, we mark the dawn of a new Middle East. Thanks to the great courage of the leaders of these three countries, we take a major stride toward a future in which people of all faiths and backgrounds live together in peace and prosperity.
This peace will eventually expand to include other Arab states, and ultimately it can end the Arab-Israeli conflict once and for all.
Can you imagine ITV speaking like that about a President Obama peace plan?
The United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not. A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. This deal demonstrates that American diplomacy can bring about real and meaningful change. Change that makes our country and the world safer and more secure. This deal is also in line with a tradition of American leadership. It's now more than 50 years since President Kennedy stood before the American people and said, "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate."
The Obama-Biden administration devised the Iran nuclear deal because Obama wanted to be a historic president walking in Tehran at the close of his presidency, the same way that President Reagan ended up walking around Moscow at the end of his term. It didn't quite work out that way for President Obama, but his team is still running our foreign policy in the Middle East. Today, in 2023, Iran has a friend in the region in the person of Joe Biden, whether he knows it or not. The October 7th, 2023 attacks on Western Israel were part of an overall strategy to isolate Israel from international support and, most importantly, to restore the Islamic Republic of Iran to its desired position as leader of the Islamic world. The best part is President Biden lacks the slightest comprehension that any of this is a coordinated plan.
To all of Israel's friends in the Middle East, those who are with us today and those who will join us tomorrow, I say, Assalamu alaikum. Peace unto thee. Shalom.
Iran clearly did not want that to take place, and their prayers were answered in the new presidency of Joe Biden. Iran threatens direct intervention if Israel invades Gaza, Sunday, October 15th, 2023. According to Iran Foreign Minister Hossein Amirabdollahian, the responsibility for the possible openings of new fronts of resistance in the region and any escalation of today's war directly falls on the United States and the Zionist regime, he said. UN spokesman Stéphane Dujarric said, "All the meetings have been to discuss diplomatic efforts to release hostages, secure humanitarian access, and prevent a spillover of the conflict to the wider region." Again, this was from October 15th. Wall Street Journal, 2 months ago. Hamas fighters trained in Iran before October 7th attacks. In the weeks leading up to Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, hundreds of the Palestinian Islamist militant group's fighters received specialized combat training in Iran. Roughly 500 militants from Hamas and their allied group, Islamic Jihad, participated in the exercises in September, just 1 month before the attacks, folks, which were led by officers of the Quds Force, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Senior Palestinian officials and Iranian Brigadier General Khani also attended. Hamas attackers used aerial drones to disable Israeli observation posts and their high-tech surveillance equipment. Some used paragliders to fly into Israel, obviously not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Others rode on motorcycles, commonly used by Iranian paramilitary groups, but not by Hamas until October 7th. U.S. officials said Iran has regularly trained militants in Iran and elsewhere, but they had no indications of a mass training right before the attack. Even now, Iran is helping Hamas with intelligence. The Wall Street Journal, citing senior Hamas and Hezbollah officials, Hezbollah is also an Iranian-backed group, if you don't know, has reported that the Quds Force of Iran helped plan the attack and agreed that it could go ahead at a meeting in Beirut on October 2nd with leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah. An advisor to the Syrian government and a European official gave the same account of Iran's involvement. For the past 2 years, the State Department under the Biden administration has spent their time attacking Israel, especially for their policy of having settlements.
I think you can interpret it that we are greatly concerned about that attack. We are greatly concerned about all the attacks that we saw in Israel, in the Palestinian territories over the weekend. We strongly condemn those attacks.
That's 4 months ago. This is U.S. State Department spokesperson Vedant Patel. I guess he's not a man because they say spokesperson.
Is no justification for terrorism. We are also deeply concerned by the rising levels of violence in the West Bank in recent months. There are troubling reports of extremist settler violence against Palestinian civilians, including the death of a Palestinian child.
So this is the setup for the October 7th attacks. Entire bureaucracies within the United States government were attacking Israel itself, their own government, for the actions of a single individual in their own country. Does that sound like the actions of an ally with regards to the United States to Israel? Of course not. I wonder if this Patel spokesman guy spent 1 second condemning the activities of Hamas from October 7th onwards.
We are deeply troubled.
This was 10 months ago.
Deeply concerned by what we have seen out of Israel.
So the entire Biden administration sent every signal they could to Iran that the time to attack Israel was now, that the leader they were waiting for was
let me
Joe
start by saying
Biden.
that first, we are deeply
Endless
by
condemnation
Israel's announcement
of
that it
Israel
will
by
reportedly
the
advance
United States
thousands
State Department.
of settlements and begin a process to retroactively
Endless condemnation
legalize 9
of
outposts in the West Bank
Netanyahu.
that were
Endless
previously
condemnation of
illegal
Israel
under
by
Israeli law.
Israel's ally, the Biden administration. Biden has attacked Israel for the last 2 years, almost from the moment he took office. And Iran was listening. Hezbollah was listening. Hamas was listening. They listened to Joe Biden and the rhetoric of his staff and all the bureaucrats working for Joe Biden. And they said, this is the time to fight back against Israel, because Joe Biden's entire administration signaled that the time was right to attack. And President Biden is still at it, issuing decrees and demands to the government of our ally, Israel.
Just in, a new candid message from President Biden on Israel. At a fundraiser in Washington just a short while ago, Biden told donors that Israel is losing support around the world, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu needs to change his hardline government.
Why is that the job of Joe Biden, to order Israel to change its hardline government? Have you ever heard Joe Biden order Germany to change their government? Or have you ever heard Joe Biden order Great Britain to change their government? Look at this in this October 15th article. Oh, Iranian leaders were surprised by the Hamas assault. We have bureaucrats in the Biden administration still spinning that Israel is the bad guy as of October 15th. Iran-backed groups attacking American base. 3 days ago, Iran-backed groups in Iraq. Iran deeply involved in planning Houthi attacks on Red Sea shipping, says White House. The Biden White House is the source of this reporting. This is the same Biden White House that's trying to push the Iran nuclear deal and still bring the Iranians back to the table. Intelligence tying Tehran to the breakdown of a key shipping route, but holds off on redesignating Houthis as a terror group. You see, Biden's bureaucrats have no idea how to respond to Iran and their coordinated attacks, precisely as Iran predicted. Iran has been deeply involved in the planning of attacks by Yemen's Houthi rebels against commercial vessels in the Red Sea, the Biden administration said on Friday. Citing newly declassified American intelligence, White House National Security Council spokesperson, she's not a woman, spokesperson Adrienne Watson said in a statement that Iran is providing weapons, funding, training, and tactical intelligence to enable the strikes along the critical sea corridor. Iranian support throughout the Gaza crisis has enabled the Houthis to launch attacks. It's all one Iranian-ordered attack, lady. Their own spokesperson can't even get her story straight. How is this a magical, unrelated crisis to the attacks by the Houthis? It's all the same attack ordered by Iran. Since 2015, Iran has transferred advanced weapons systems to the Houthis, including unmanned aerial systems, land attack cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. Where did Iran get all this money? Where did Iran get all of these funds for terrorism? Oh, that's right, the Biden administration unfroze billions and billions and billions of funds that Iran needed to conduct terror. And then the U.S. administration officials actually made claims that they were tracking the money so it wasn't used for terrorism, which has got to be the most absurd thing ever said by the entire Biden administration. $6 billion in funds to Tehran, unfrozen. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken signed off. That's JJ, not right now though. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken signed off Friday on a waiver permitting banks in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East to transfer funds to accounts at Qatar's central bank. Oh, Qatar, the same country where Hamas's senior leadership resides. Where they are meant to be used to purchase humanitarian items like food and medicine. That was September 11th, 2023, just a month before the attacks that Iran ordered. So Biden unfreezes money, Iran orders these attacks. Why would there ever be a connection, right? This is last month. As of last month, U.S. forces were attacked 66 times in Iraq and Syria, according to the Pentagon. Why? Because it's one coordinated system of attack. If you look at this map by Iran and their regional goals, there shouldn't be any mystery here. The Biden administration is responding piecemeal to these different things. When you look at all of the activities that the mullahs of Iran are engaged in, bear in mind that Joe Biden will either respond, 1, not at all, 2, in piecemeal fashion, and 3, he'll give a weak speech which will give Iran every reason to continue more of the same. To their surprise and delight, Iran can extend their grasp across the Middle East, and Joe Biden has not and will not lead a unified coalition to stop Iran in any shape, manner, or form. The United Nations ignores the activities of Iran while debating the war crimes of Israel, and there is no one in charge of the government of the United States who cares or has any motivation to put the pieces together. And that is why Iran has a friend in the White House in the person of Joe Biden. Thank you.